Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of the brand new album from Lorna Shore called Immortal. Alright guys, brand new album from Lorna Shore. We are both vaguely familiar with this band. We reacted to a couple of their videos for this album, liked them both. Actually the title track, which was the latest video they released late last year, was one of my favorite tracks of the year. We do want to say something before we get too far into this video, and that is that we're aware of the issues going on with the now former vocalist DJ McCreary. We do not agree with or condone any of the allegations or accusations against him. He's dealing with some shit right now. Any praise regarding him is strictly his performance. We just want to make that clear. We don't want people in the comments saying, oh, you're supporting a blah 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 blah, you know.
Yeah, we're separating the art from the artist. We're not commenting anything about his character or anything. Everything we say is strictly about his performance on this album.
Exactly. So we just want to make that clear, get that out of the way off the bat. With that said, I have been hyped for this album for a couple months now, because like I said, that song was like,
yeah, I mean, same.
Really good.
Ever since hearing that, I've been excited to check this album.
Yeah. So I guess without further ado, we're gonna go listen to it for the first time in its entirety, and we'll be back in just a minute with our first impressions, so stay put. Okay guys, we're back. We just listened to Immortal in its entirety, and I'm gonna steal the floor off the bat and say that, you know what, I think this album is great overall, but it's not without its issues and flaws. We had a tiny bit of a chat, you know, on our way from our listening session to these chairs to record this, and we basically both kind of agreed that monotony is an issue. Every song sounds the same. They do a lot of the same things in every song. For example, there's 10 tracks on this album, and there's probably 6 or 7 of them that have a part where the music stops and then you hear one snare shot in this like open space. You know, every song's got, you know, a breakdown that they break down and then maybe break down again, right? Every song has the verses were all very similar. The choruses stood out. The choruses had their own style, their own flair, their own flavor. The verses, however, were just onslaughts of gutturals, just
Blast beats,
double bass, and a various array of picking styles, riffing, whatever.
Honestly, the guitars on this album were probably the most interesting thing about it, and the thing that I found deviated the most from itself. Because, you know, like you said, we both felt there was a lot of monotony on this album. They were doing the same things every song, but it felt like the guitar was one of the only things that actually kind of made things a little different.
Yeah.
And I felt like the choruses were kind of what was separating some songs, like, oh, they were doing this in this one, okay, they used the choir in this song, or they used the strings in this one. I found a lot of my notes were saying, this sounds the same, except the chorus sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like, I was writing that for multiple songs, so, you know, it was funny how, like, my ratings of songs just kind of devolved as it went, because the first track is the title track, the track that we reacted to first, 6 songs. And you know what, like, as a song that introduces you to the album, you'll love it. Whoa, this is a crazy song. They break down the breakdown. They go da-da-da-da. It's like wild.
Yeah.
And that was my highest rated track. Then Death Portrait. I think we reacted to that.
Yep.
We reacted to that too, and that was also good. It was kind of similar sounding, but overall, you know what? Still enjoyed it. But then from track 3, which is This Is Hell, onward to the end of the album, it just kind of started going lower and lower, because I kept finding like, okay, are we just listening to the first song again? Like, it just felt like the same thing happening over and over and over. The blast beats are all in the same spots, the breakdowns are also all in the same spots, and they all function the same, where they break down. You got an open, you got the snare, which has a really cool, you know, trigger effect on it. I don't know what that
sounds sick,
but it is a really cool thing they put on it. So I thought I mentioned that. And then they break it down again, and it's just the same thing over and over. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, it's just like one song 10 times. Almost.
I'm gonna say, okay, this is not gonna be a shit on this album.
Yeah, no. Like,
so hold on a second. There's a testament to an upside of this album, and that is that they do squeeze a lot of different stuff in here.
Yes.
There's choir in here. There's orchestral stuff in your string sections. There's songs with synth. There's songs with piano, okay? There's a lot of different things in it. There's some crazy guitar solos that sound really cool.
Yeah.
There's one song, which is the song with that sweep picking at the end, track number 8, which had a very Behemoth vibe to it. I wrote that in my notes, which I thought was kind of cool. And it's kind of weird because I wrote of with a V, which is Behemoth's thing. They don't do Fs. No Fs, it's all Vs. But they had this sweep picking solo, I guess. Maybe it's not a solo, but really cool outro with the guitars, right? So there's a lot of different elements that do sound different throughout the album. We're not saying everything sounds the same, but you reuse a lot of the cool stuff.
Yeah, and you know, your example with King of Deception is a really good kind of example of showing that the guitars are pretty much the highlight of the album based on a first impression. You know, I said, you know, I am critical of the fact that a lot of the stuff is kind of reused throughout the songs, but this is a very dense album, like you said. There's a lot packed into all these songs. And that is why I have hope for this album to really blow me away throughout the week, because albums like these, with tons of stuff packed into them, are albums where you start picking out small things in every song.
And there's surprises everywhere.
Exactly. And you'll find so many new things and so many things to tell the songs apart when there's so much in it. And I think it's also kind of hard coming into this album based on a first impression, given that we were just listening to Annihilator for the last week. So we kind of have a lot more of a simplistic thrash metal thing in our heads. Jump into this, which is so much more dense, so much more going on. It's just like kind of a big jump. And I find that does happen, but you know, I can totally see this album growing a lot.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It is kind of a jump, but I do think that with more listens, we'll be able to appreciate and identify the songs a little easier. This is something that we find very common listening to a lot of types of music, where listening to it on for the first time, and the album has a structure. This band got together, they wrote this album. This album is a whole entity. It's gonna sound similar throughout the album, right? There's gonna be a lot of things that are the same, but that's what repetition of listening helps you, differentiate. Is those different songs and the different riffs, and you start picking things out and things start sounding different and standing out when they don't necessarily do that on a first listen.
And that's part of why we do that, exactly. Like why we listen to an album for an entire week, it's so that we can digest it more in that sense. But this album, like I said, it has really cool, interesting things. Like for example, track number 9, Darkest Spawn. I really liked the pacing in that song for almost the whole song, because it was a lot slower and more brooding, which is something that wasn't really present for a good chunk of the rest of the songs. So I liked that was something different, that felt different. And then the longer it went on, the more you'd get the blast beats and all the kind of similar stuff. But at least it had a good chunk of a concept that wasn't really utilized as much. Like that made it stand out that way.
You said Immortal was your top track, right?
Yes.
Immortal was also my top track. And that song's got a lot of cool stuff going for it. Like, for example, the drummer does this thing where he trades off blast beats and double bass. So for the first bar he'll do blast beats, then the next bar he'll do double bass, and he'll switch back and forth. I thought that was really cool. That starts to lose its specialness.
It loses luster as it keeps happening.
Not in that song though. That song's great. But when he does it again in other songs, and he does it again in other songs,
exactly.
It's like,
throughout the album, it doesn't feel as
I understand it's
special.
just your style, or maybe you just like doing that for this album. But yeah, it loses its luster. But then there's these odd things that they do certain times, like in Hollow Sentence. So that's just one of the songs with a synth intro. They got the choir going on, and they do a few things, but then there's one bar, might even be half a bar, where he throws a D beat in there. I'm just like, whoa, that was kind of cool, that was unique, but that was it. Maybe they could have just done that a little more, made it part of the song, instead of just throwing it in one little part, and then everything reverts back to basically what it seems like their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, in that song, I really liked the rhythmic stuff they were doing in the breakdown. It kind of felt like they were messing around with it a little bit more than a lot of the other songs on this album.
Yeah.
And it's moments like that that start to stand out as we listen to the album more and more and more. I will say though that everyone on this album performed well. Like, the guitar sounded good, the drums sound good, although some of it is a bit repetitive, but they're still overall good. This guy is talented, and the mix is really good.
Yeah.
The vocals sound cool.
Yep.
Like, all of it is well performed and well mixed as well. I kind of liked the way it was all put together. Like, production-wise, it's really good. But
I agree with that, especially on first impressions, but once I listened to it on different speakers, different,
different medium.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, guys, we're going to listen to the album as much as we can for a week straight, and we're going to develop our opinions. and let you guys know how we feel about it at the end of the week. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think after first impressions. That's it from us for now. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Check out our Spotify playlist in the link below. I'm Vile Self.
And I'm TV Fish. We'll see you guys later.